What's up, y'all? Reggie here, the fitness tutor. Out getting me a little sun, some fresh air. Out here in between the lakes. I don't know if you can see, but there's another one down there. Beautiful day, beautiful temperature. Sun's out, guns out, right? But I wanted to do another video here about vitamin D and try to make it a little bit shorter this time. And I realized one of my last videos got cut off. I started watching it. I never made it all the way to the end, and I made it to the end and I was like, hey, but y'all know I tend to be long-winded, whether it be on video or text. So just trying to get out too much information and cover my caveats and stuff. It's one of my flaws that I'm working on. But anyway, to touch on again a couple of things. Vitamin D is becoming more and more correlated with with how we deal with disease and malfunctions in the body and so many other things, because we're finding out that vitamin D helps you get access to your nucleus of your cell, where all your genetic material is warehoused, And but in the middle of this COVID, Corona, pandemic stuff, there's more and more studies coming out showing, people with better blood levels of vitamin D seem to have a more common, all in common. Having good levels of vitamin D or higher levels of vitamin D are correlated with having better outcomes with the disease. And we don't know, of course, all the mechanisms of that, but it's just one of those things that's going to get more and more attention and research, and we're going to figure out more and more about it, and it just makes sense. One thing I wanted to touch on again, that I got cut off before I got to it in my other video, is it's not just any sunlight. So it's the UVB spectrum of sunlight radiation. So the UVB rays, they don't reach you depending on the angle of the sun in the sky. So time of day and your location makes a difference. Early morning, you're probably not really going to be making much vitamin D. Depending on where you're at, it's pretty much zero, from my understanding, or not enough for you to really take into much consideration. I guess a little bit is better than nothing. And again, if you live on the equator, the sun is going to be overhead year-round more than if you lived further north from the equator. And again, it's related to the atmosphere, the strength of UVB rays, how far they have to travel, et cetera, et cetera. So in most of the U.S., where I reside in Greenville, South Carolina, and most of the U.S., during the winter, you don't really make any vitamin D. Most of the U.S., and we'll talk about that more precisely later. But roughly, October-ish, I think it's late October, middle October. I have to go back and look at my notes. But October through March, until March, depending on where you're at, you're not really making any vitamin D. And if you go outside at 12 o'clock when the sun is at its highest in winter, in December, and you look at your shadow is still longer than you are tall. And that's, a simplification of it, but it's a general rule of thumb, and there's a lot of scientists who back this simple way of checking. Now, as I walk today, right now it's 5 o'clock, and I'm right there at it. So if you can see, I'll try to pause here. can't really get a good concept of how much that is, but I'm 5'11", and okay, if I stand at the curb, my shadow ends right here where my foot is. So from there to the curb is a good looks like 7 feet or so. So, you know, it's definitely borderline from what I can tell. And one of the other things I wanted to mention, though, in any of these videos where I mention that, I don't want that to be a how you doing? In any of these videos, I don't want that to be any idea or supposition that you shouldn't go outside and take a walk or get some sun or get some fresh air just because you're not making any vitamin D. And I'm out here today, and you know, I'm really not making any vitamin D right now. So, and again, the darker your skin, the harder it is for you to make vitamin D. And take that into consideration. Your location, for my friends and family up north, New York, Chicago, Indiana, Michigan. I've talked to a few people about this, you know. Keep this in mind, and you know, it would be wise to get a hopefully you're doing yearly exams. What's going on? I'm doing a video. I'll get in touch with you in a second. But it's a potential client. But keep in mind that regardless of your race or ethnicity or your skin color, keep that in mind where you live. All things being equal, your exposure, you live in New York, your exposure to UVB is going to be less. Hello? It's going to be less than mine. You know, being further south in South Carolina. Same thing for me as you go further south and get closer to the equator. So anyway, before this video gets too long, just wanted to put that out there, and we'll talk about some of the more specific data and studies and stuff later. You know, I'm just doing some kind of lazier videos, and it's, you know, I start talking about technical stuff, it's going to be easier for me to make a mistake. But just wanted to kind of put that out there, get another video going. We'll see y'all later. Luckily, there's not any, you know, any bullcrap going on in my neighborhood as I take a walk. But hey, that's another topic. I'm blessed enough to know a lot of my neighbors, and you know, hopefully I can be blessed enough to take peaceful walks or jogs through my neighborhood in the future. Just to touch on another subject real quick, but you know, I'll have a whole nother channel where I talk about that sort of stuff, but I don't take it for granted. But get out. Find your way to get out. Can't be too afraid of everything. Get out, get some sun, get some exercise. Even if it's just a slow walk, brisk walk, whatever you can handle if you don't do it on a regular basis. If you don't exercise or you're not too active, you need to get in touch with that. It's not an option for increasing your health. And again, nothing that I say on any of these videos is intended to be medical advice. Please consult with your doctor or physician before you start any supplement or exercise program. So, all right, we're gonna make this skin a little more golden, a little bit longer, and I'll check out on the backside. See ya.